On the line right now is Cara Thomas. She is a reporter with Spectrum News, and we've been speaking with Cara throughout the course of the trial, of the Conley trial, which is right now in deliberations. But, Cara, looking like things are really deadlocked. They reported to the judge yesterday. They did not know how to proceed. What do we know this morning?
That's right. Yeah, we're on day 3 of possible deliberations today. They've been deliberating for about 11 and a half hours at this point. And you're right, yesterday morning, they came right to the judge after about only a half an hour of deliberating, telling him they didn't know what to do and that they were not able to reach a unanimous decision. But the judge did read the Allen charge, told them to go back into the room and continue deliberating. He told them he had faith in them, that they could reach a decision. So we'll have to see today of what comes from this. But, you know, we have seen some jurors get emotional during not very outright emotions, but you can tell that this is definitely, it's wearing on them, this process. And I can completely understand why that would be.
Yeah, this is long. Do we have any idea how many jurors are, and I guess the answer is going to be no, but in which way they're leaning, or if it's split, or is there one lone juror out there that doesn't agree with the others? Do you know anything, or is there any clue?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
All we know, obviously, they can't reach a decision, so we've got some people on one side and some people on the other, but that's as far as we know. We don't have any indicators or anything of account on either side. And
during the closing arguments, a rather lengthy closing by the prosecution, and the assistant DA for the first time gave a motive. What was the reaction to people in the courtroom and the jury? Any facial expressions? And is that motive? Do you feel that's a substantial motive? That she, I'm getting my computer talk mixed up. I'm sorry, but motive is what I'm looking at. But the fact that what was it that she wanted to kind of lure him back into her life, and through sorrow that might have occurred. Do you buy the motive?
You know, it's interesting. You know, the fact that they weren't able to include that motive in the actual evidence. They've had to bring this into the closing argument, which the closing argument is not evidence. You know, it's just kind of them trying to tie everything together. But I think for them, they knew it was crucial to at least introduce some sort of motive, even though from the very beginning they told the jury that they were not, they did not have to prove motive. They just had to present the evidence. So, you know, what they did say was that Adam Yoder himself was the motive, and that initially they believed that Conley did all these things to try and win Adam back into her life. But eventually, as police took on the investigation and things like that, ADA Lori Lisi said that she believed that Conley's motive changed, that she no longer wanted Adam back, but she wanted to get back at Adam. And that's kind of why she points out that she believes Conley framed him with that letter, with allegedly putting the colchicine bottle under his passenger side vehicle or seat in his vehicle. So things like that. So it's very interesting. But, you know, the defense continued to bring up that they didn't believe that Conley had any motive at all, and that's why they continued to point the finger at the victim's husband. They also had, I don't think I spoke to you since then, but they had 2 of the victim's sisters actually get on the stand to support that, saying that they did not believe Conley committed this crime, and they believed it was also William.
And then another witness who contested previous testimony from the husband, saying that the relationship started much before the death, and someone had witnessed an embrace, right?
Correct, yeah. It was a neighbor of the sister-in-law / girlfriend of William Yoder now, Kathy Richmond. She claims that she was walking by Kathy's house and saw them, identified William Yoder in the courtroom, and said that she saw them in a very intimate embrace, saying that she remembers that day because it was just very, very awkward to her, and asked her daughter to look away. And so she identified William Yoder in the courtroom, but interesting. Both William and Kathy both said that they did not have any relationship really at all until after Mary had passed away.
Certainly, when they came back and asked about reasonable doubt and asked for the definition, that had to be a clue as to where some of these jurors are going.
Yeah, and yesterday they also asked for the definition of intent, as well as, and then came back and asked for an extended definition of intent. So, I think it is very interesting on trying to figure out. You'd love to be a fly on the wall in that jury, in the room where the juries are deliberating, just to be able to know what the heck they're talking about.
And to know, is there one holdout? Is it split? I mean, these are all things that we're not privy to at this point.
Exactly.
Cara, let me ask, was there any discussion or evidence about whether or not whoever did this intended to kill Mariota or just make her sick and poison her? Was there anything into that? Was it always presented as the intent was to kill her?
That's interesting.
Well, it is interesting, and as I'm trying to rack my brain through all those witnesses, because there were a lot, but the defense did bring up, and there's something that I thought of too, was that all the evidence showed that, or really pointed towards Conley purchasing the colchicine. There was a lot of computer forensic evidence and different things like that really pointed the finger at her purchasing that bottle or that vial. And but the defense brought up that there really wasn't much evidence to prove that Conley actually committed the crime, that she, 7 months or 5 months after buying the colchicine, that she actually dosed something that Mary Yoder ate, because there's never been any evidence of what the colchicine was in that Mary Yoder ingested, just a time frame. So there really wasn't any evidence pointing towards that, or it's very, very circumstantial.
I have to say, what I find being incredibly interesting is, other than this mistake that this young lady made, and that is sending these letters. She supposedly admitted to sending these letters. If that's not a part of this case, she's not on trial. And if you look at the whole picture here, I think the prosecution, based on all the testimony that has occurred, would have as good of a case, if not better, against William Yoder.
It's possible. You really don't know what they didn't even get into the interview that they had with William Yoder. Police never even testified about that interview that they had with him. All they said was that they sat with him for several hours, pretty much an entire day they spoke with him. Yeah. But they never talked about what came out of that. So what was presented at the trial, the prosecution continues to turn the jurors away, trying to say, no, the evidence continues to point at Conley. And then, talking about, we did our due diligence. We did look into William. Of course, he was the victim's husband. Of course, you look into him first. But then telling the jurors, but the evidence continued to point at Conley.
Very amazing. And I know you don't like to give opinion, but I'm going to ask you anyway to see if you're willing. And that is, from everything we've heard, I don't know how. I think the defense attorney did his job and has created reasonable doubt. Do you agree with that, or would you be willing to agree or disagree with that?
I can't give my opinion. I know you want me to, but I can't give my opinion. But I think there are, sitting in the courtroom every day during deliberations, you see the people, friends, families, supporters from both sides who strongly believe either side. And that makes you, I know the jurors aren't able to see that, but when you're sitting in the courtroom, seeing people who are supporting Kaitlyn and thinking that she didn't do it, and then other people that do believe, it's hard to know who's telling the truth and which side to believe, because everyone has very strong arguments.
Very interesting. And today, of course, they'll go back into deliberations today. Judge Dwyer does not seem to be ready to give up here, because that would mean you got to consider trying this case all over again.
That's right, and that's a lot of resources. It's a lot of time. This trial lasted. We're on week 4 now. So who knows what he's going to do? I mean, how many times can you send, if a jury really is deadlocked, how many times can you send them back? You don't know if they'll change their opinions or change their thoughts. So So we'll just have to see. I've seen in a past trial a judge send a jury back 3 times, and they deliberated for more than a week. So
Wow.
I don't know if that will be the same case in this kind of trial. But I mean, that other trial was very different circumstances, but it does happen. So we'll just have to see and wait and see.
All right, very interesting. And again, we appreciate you giving us your insight, Cara. It means a lot, and we hope to talk again soon.
No problem. Thanks so much.
Cara Thomas, Spectrum News, has been giving us updates along the way here, and this is just a very interesting case. I use the word interesting, and so that I don't get hammered by this one person that every time I use the word interesting hammers me over it. It is horrific. There's someone dead. We understand that. It's horrible. But at the same time, we're in the midst of trial here, and to use words like fascinating as we watch this thing unfold, it's hard not to. But again, you cannot forget the fact that a family has lost a mother, a wife, and that a woman is dead today, and potentially a young lady's life is on the line here. So there's a lot in the mix. We get it.